and welcome back to FIDE World Women's Team Chess Championship. Here we are, round number 4, with Grandmaster Dina Belenke and Grandmaster Rina Crush. And let us first tell you what actually happened in the round 3, because we had some very exciting stuff. So France-Spain, what did happen in this match, Irina?
Spain beat France 2.5, 1.5, which I think is quite unfortunate for France. It means that they're not doing very well so far. And the key game in that match was that last one between Andrea Navratescu and Sabrina Gutierrez Vega. And that ended in a draw in a rook and bishop versus rook endgame, which allowed Spain to maintain their edge over France.
Correct. We also had Chess Federation of Russia winning against Azerbaijan with such a dominating score, 3.5 to half a point. And in that matchup, the key game was the only draw that's the only half a point that Azerbaijan managed to score, and it was in the game between Olivia Fatalieva and Polina Shvalova.
Yeah, so Russia continues its winning streak. I mean, winning matches with big scores. So far, they have not won a match with less than 3.5 points, Dina.
Yeah, and something tells me that things are gonna be slightly little more difficult for them in this round number 4.
Yeah, they're going to be playing India, which beat Armenia 2.5, 1.5, led by the wins by India on boards 3 and 4. And by the way, Lilith Mikirchian, she did win that game against Vaishali, that interesting, completely crazy English opening that we looked at.
Yeah, well done, Lilith. Unfortunately, didn't help her own country to maintain the score. But either way, let us now take a look at matchup between Germany and Georgia. And seems like Georgia was also extremely strong in that matchup, beating Germany 3.5 to half a point, also completely dominating. The only draw we had was between Jana Schneider and Mary Rabisa. And still, I have to say, quite an achievement for Jana being the youngest player of Team Germany.
Yeah, 3.5 is a really big score. And I think Georgia is kind of establishing themselves as the leader in Pool B.
That is correct. Let us now have a look at yet one more matchup we had. It was Kazakhstan versus FIDE Americas, and Kazakhstan won with a very small spear, 2.5 to 1.5. Only, yeah, well, they won. That is correct. But they might have had a higher score, being a way stronger team. Yeah, FIDE Americas fought good, but still, a win is a win. And the last matchup that we had was the matchup of the round, the most, let's say, how would you even call it, Irina? The matchup
Yeah, it
between
was a
Ukraine and Poland.
very tight match, very competitive actually, and so unsurprisingly, it finished with a competitive result 2-2. I mean, two draws. Yulia Osmak, really, she could have given the match to Ukraine. She did have two extra pawns, and I think that inability to win that game, cost Ukraine the match. And Anna Muzichuk, a bit of a surprise there against Jolanta Zawadzka, but that was also a close game. And in the time trouble, it just turned against Anna. So nothing too shocking. But Poland has always been a strong team, and it's not surprising that they can hold Ukraine to a draw.
Correct. Now let's take a look at the standings. We have them now on our screens. We're seeing the Pool A. Chess Federation of Russia is leading, having won all their matches. And so far, this is the only team in the whole tournament, both Pool A and Pool B, having won all the matches. And that is indeed very impressive performance so far. 6 points out of 6 possible points. We also have India just behind them with 5 points, and Armenia with 3. In the Pool B, we have two sole co-leaders, Georgia and Kazakhstan, both 5 points, only half a point they lost on their way. And Ukraine is just there very close with 3 points. And let us remind our viewers that there are 4 places out of 6 that qualify to the next stage. So you do not necessarily have to win this pool. All you need to do is to finish in the first 4.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Poland at the bottom of the standings, it's a little bit surprising. But if you if you look at it, it's very funny. They actually have more game points than FIDE Americas or Germany. And that could matter because they're really just basically like one drawn match away from those two countries. And if they can catch up to them, they will actually have better tie breaks. I actually think Poland will make it to top four. I'm going to make that prediction, even though right now they're at the bottom. This is a team that just should not be at the bottom, and I think they're going to claw their way back into it. Um, France, on the other hand, also at the bottom, losing three matches, not a great situation to be in. And so I think the question there is really just, is it going to be Spain or Azerbaijan for fourth place?
Yeah, well, Irina, I have very bad news for you if you were supporting Team Poland because
Yeah.
apparently they haven't faced the strongest teams yet. Guess what? In
Mm.
the round four, Poland is gonna be paired versus Georgia, and that is a very big trouble for them because Georgia is the leading team. And yeah, I'm a little bit scared. Apparently, Poland didn't score good enough before, and that actually might be a
Yeah.
trouble because let me remind our viewers we have only 2 rounds left before everything's gonna be decided. So it's right
Yeah.
now and tomorrow, and that's it.
That
No
really
other
was
second
very
chance.
bad news, Dina. That was terrible news. Now that I look at it, the matchups, in round one, Poland lost to FIDE Americas, and then they lost to Germany. So they lost to the two teams that they need to surpass to actually to take their place in the top four. Of course, that you're right. That's a very difficult position to be in because they still have to play Ukraine and Georgia. So yeah, my prediction terrible, but I'm still gonna stay with it.
That's it. All right. Seems like round four has already started. Let us now dive into action as everything begins right now. And what
Yeah,
do
so we
we
got
have here?
Garyashkina versus Harika.
Ooh, that is exciting. That is extremely exciting. We do see India not with their, let's say, strongest player, so to be highest rated, Ahampi Conor is not participating, but Harika is not an easy walk either. And so far we see Bogu Indian. Ooh, I am very much pleased to see this line because I have been studying it for my own chess opening repertoire. And queen e7 is indeed a very nice idea here, g3. All right, there are also some ways like a5 trying to keep this bishop on b4 here. Irina, how familiar are you with this line?
Not super familiar. Yeah, I mean all of these things that go with knight f3 and the third move, I am less familiar with that than the Nimzo positions, which I've played basically all the lines in throughout my life. So this one I kind of know more casually. And b6, I'm not sure what that move b6 is. I don't think it's the main move, is it, Dina?
No, we have knight c6 or short castle, but knight c6 by far is the most popular with more than 3,400 games in the base.
Yeah, that's what I remember. Knight c6, and then with the idea of taking on d2, and white has to capture with the knight because they can't capture with the queen because of knight e4 and queen b4 ideas. And so you get their knight to go to d2, which is less ideal than c3. And yes, black plays exactly as you're saying for the dark squares. And yeah, that's the way this line goes. So b6 is something new that Harika, I mean, new for me that Harika is doing. Of course, it makes some
Yeah.
sense. I mean, just developing the bishop that way.
And remember, we said knight c6, move number 5, but in the game it was actually short castle. Short castle, bishop g2 might actually be a transposition after bishop takes d2, let's say. Now, knight takes d2. No, actually, it might not be a
You
transposition.
can
This
take with
is,
a queen.
yeah, you can here take with the queen. Ooh, that is interesting. It might be some rare line here. Okay, this is exciting. And for now, Garashkina is thinking,
Yeah,
I
they've already a
say,
few moves into the game, Dina. Maybe we can update because I see Harika's bishop on b7 and
all right, let me update. Let me update this one. Nope. Not from my side.
Not from your side, yeah. But we can see on the video screen that they've made quite a few moves. Like White's bishop is already on b2. They've already developed. But if we cannot get it updated right now, we can come back to that game
Yeah, we
a
can see
little
that
bit
from
later.
the cameras, correct.
Yeah. Let's take a look at I mean, is Kastanuk playing this round? She must be, right?
Yeah, let us take a look at the second board. We have Kostyuk facing Varshali, and this is interesting because Kostyuk has just won World Cup. She's one of the most experienced players of the tournament, but Varshali is a very young and promising Indian star. So I say Varshali might be 10 times more ambitious for this game because she has nothing to lose. This is always like this. Whenever you're an underdog, you have nothing to lose. So you're in a way more, as you say, courageous.
Yeah, yeah, you can say that. That so yeah, I mean we have some kind of, I don't know, Reti slash English here. Could be a Catalan if White plays d4. We'll see if White does play d4, or what are her thoughts on this position, or if White's just going to castle and allow Black to play d4. I mean, this game can still develop in many directions. What about Logno? How is she doing against Sachdev?
Yeah, so it's pretty surprising for me to see Lagna on the board number 3. And
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
yeah,
If
she has been World Blitz champion. Was she World Rapid champion?
I don't know. She's, I think, several times World Blitz champion at least. And I mean, of course, she was a World Cup finalist a few years ago when she lost this exciting match to Ju Wen Jun. Not even World Cup, that was the Women's World Championship, I think. And that's how Ju became the Women's World Champion a few years ago.
Yeah, at the
Um,
time that was the World Cup was also the World Championship. Yeah, wow. All right. Either way, I don't think it changes much. Either Lagno is playing on the board 2 or 3, switching with Kostyuk because it makes both boards extremely strong. Sometimes, it can also be a trick. For instance, I saw Kazakhstan putting a Bibisar on the board 5, and I thought it was also on purpose, to score to
yeah, we
guarantee
didn't
those.
actually see Bibisara playing yet, right? Like,
Correct.
is she even here? In fact, I mean, she's listed, right? But I mean, if she's not playing on day two, I mean, she's maybe there's something going on there, because I can't imagine that someone wouldn't put her into play if they could.
Yeah, that actually can be some kind of last moment, unexpected things going on, which is weakening, dramatically weakening Team Kazakhstan, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, Bibisara, she just really strong player for Kazakhstan. So, I mean, we expected her to be taking part in these matches. So this seems like it was a Rai Lopez. Am I right, Dina?
Yeah, let's take a look. We have this classical variation. Ooh, a Berlin. No,
Open
yes,
Spanish.
open Spanish. Because Berlin would be without a6, right? It would
Yeah.
be knight f6 immediately. Yeah. Oh, right, open Spanish. D4. I recall with Garashkina, haven't we seen 95? No, it was another one. I'm
Rookie one.
confusing. It
Oh,
was
that was
Rookie
the that
1?
was from
Rookie 1
that was
from Berlin, right?
Berlin, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Either way. D4. These structures are sometimes very similar. D5. D takes C5, bishop E6. I have no doubt this is still all theory. And here we have the position still playable. 73 games, knight x f6, a4, b4. Is this what we have right now? Rook e1, bishop g4, h3, bishop h5, and knight f1 is the last move that we had. We already
Hmm.
had one game like this in the base before. It was knight e4, and now after bishop c5, finally we're on our own together with the players, and this is super interesting to evaluate this position.
Yeah, I mean, I guess on knight g3, Black is getting ready to take on f3, queen takes f3, and knight e4, right? So there's some kind of tactics like that coming up. I might say, bishop e3 is interesting here. But again, what happens on bishop f3, queen f3, knight e4? right? So this
Knight
is the question for
e4.
me.
All right, bishop e3. Bishop takes f3. Queen takes f3 and knight e4. Ooh,
I mean,
so
because there's a problem with the
such a big
f2 pawn.
choice. Wow,
Yeah, queen h5, yeah?
coming here
You have
for
to do
your
something
king.
special because otherwise f2 is hanging.
Seems like a very big advantage here for white, so we shouldn't follow. Ooh. Where would you play? This position is really sharp. I mean, it's not sharp, it's dynamic.
Yeah, no, bishop e3 makes sense. Bishop e3 is, you're developing a piece and you're protecting, bishop e3, I mean.
Ooh,
Yeah.
apologies. Bishop
Bishop
e3.
e3, yeah, and you're like protecting f2. So, I mean, in my mind, I certainly would want to play that move positionally speaking.
Yeah, also you finish your development, which makes a lot of sense. And now
Maybe
developing
even,
your knight.
yeah, developing your knight. Yeah, taking with the rook.
Would you
Probably
want to
not.
take with the rook here? Ooh,
Well, probably
maybe.
not. You have to, but you can consider it. Yeah.
Now after d4,
Mm-hmm.
we have rook d3. Wow.
Yeah, that is bishop
How
g6.
interesting. How exciting. And rook d2 and bishop takes c2. Yeah, wow, what an amazing rook lift. I really like that. It reminds me of that game of Elizabeth Petz versus Jean Abdamalik, where the rook went to a7 and then to d7. I mean, it went to c7, but that wasn't the case. That was the disinformation that we had by some of the spies, let's say, that wanted us to lose the track of Jean versus Elizabeth. Either way, this is the position that we have right now. Bishop c5, and Tanya played bishop c5. So Katerina is thinking right now, I suggest we move on with this match. We'll still have one more board we haven't covered.
Yeah, Dina, we had a really important comment from Jacob Thomas. He said, "Crush, I missed that. It was a great sleep hair." So I told him it's coming back. We're going to improve that. We got to bring back the Einstein hair.
Oh, it is indeed a very important comment. Do not hesitate to leave more comments like this in the chat. We'll be bringing them all on our broadcast. And as far as for now, let us see what is happening in the board. Number 4, Polina Shavalova versus Mary Ann Gomez. How is that going?
Let's take a look.
Ooh. Okay.
Oh, this is another one of those English openings.
Already.
Yeah. How did it go? It started as uh-huh.
Wow, nice. I wanted to say Sicilian color is reversed. Well, who is playing Sicilian here? Wait, I'm confused. No, black is playing Sicilian. But white is like, if only we had those two pawns. I mean, at least e4 pawn does make a lot of sense. Look at the evaluation bar. Black is doing fantastic out of the opening.
Yeah, white's wasted a little bit of time playing h3, then h4. Their knight on b3 isn't doing anything. Black's just going to play like knight f6, knight g4. He has a g4 square already. And you're right, Dina, there's no white pawns in the center at all, like no e4, c4. So, it's not easy even to play knight d5. Right. So this looks
Yeah.
kind of something has gone completely wrong. I guess white will try to play e4, but then, the g4 square is weak as well. So I really don't like the whole concept.
So where was the mistake then? Knight b3, could that be the inaccuracy that we are looking for? And now with the shot castle, it all started being worse and worse with every second of it. Bishop e6, knight c3, queen d7. It is in fact h4 that ruined everything. Apparently, king h2, I mean, it ruined everything. These are small differences. But apparently, h4 might be weakening the position of white. What do you think, Irina?
Yeah, well, I think the whole concept, certainly when I see this position with h4, it's just wrong. Yeah, because I mean, I just see the obvious play for black with like knight f6, with the g4 square being weak, with it's a white having no center at the moment, black's going to castle short. Um, they need a knight that's at least not on b3, at least on f3. And f3 so we can go to g5. I mean, this knight on b3 literally does nothing, not a single pawn in the center. So yeah, of course, I don't see White's point here. I'm assuming, of course, yeah, King h2 makes sense. What she didn't like was probably h4, g4, and maybe f5, right? Which is a typical thing to do. I mean, there must have been a reason why she rejected King h2. So I'm thinking this and then g4 and perhaps f5. I mean, at least it's very typical. And maybe you go g5 here, um, not to let the knight out. It's yeah, how do we get that knight out? We got to be pretty creative about that, huh?
Yeah, the knight is not doing great. Wow,
Um,
interesting. Could that be something like knight f6 with threats of sacrificing the knight?
not too much of a threat at the moment, unfortunately. So then where do you go with that knight? I mean, black can do that. Yeah, black can do it, but what's now?
Yeah, it seems like so far the game is, let's say, oh, bishop h3 immediately. That is pretty direct. Now,
Okay.
what black's idea is pretty simple. You have a fianchetto bishop, and I want to trade it because I want to weaken your white squares, and then I want to checkmate you on g2, possibly. And that's not stupid at all. I mean, that's not a bad idea at all. So
Yeah, positionally, it's very logical. I mean, for sure. Like the light squared bishop on g2 protects the king. Um, and afterwards, black will play knight f6, knight g4, and the attack will be even that much stronger. So this is a good inclusion. Yes.
yeah, we really like that. Okay, so this is the game. We have made a tour of the match between India and Russia. Now that we're still in the phase of opening, how about we take a look at some other matches that are going on?
Yeah, let's go to Ukraine, Kazakhstan, because that's a big one. And I
Right.
believe that those two teams are actually tied with each other, Ukraine and Kazakhstan. Uh, Wait, no, they're not. Ukraine is even behind Kazakhstan. It's Kazakhstan's tied with Georgia, in first place. Ukraine is behind them. They actually need to beat them to catch up. So I think Ukraine should be very motivated.
What is interesting about it is that here we have Ward 1, Anna Muzichuk, facing Jansaya Abdumalik. And particular thing that interests me in this matchup is that those two players are very, very close friends. In fact, I am thinking like they might have been sharing a room, probably not, but I have seen them literally spending all their rest time now that the tournament is going. And also, let's not forget that just a week before, like not the week before, but the previous week, they were in was it Macedonia, North Macedonia, and the European Club Cup. They were both playing for the same team. So I, as a sports psychologist, if I may call myself so, I'm extremely interested to see how this game will continue.
Yeah, so Muzichuk, well, first of all, Jansaya chose the Berlin, and that's interesting because she also can play the Sicilian, but she obviously went for something more solid. No, no, not a yeah, a Berlin. Yes, that's it, a Berlin endgame, and she's a little bit ahead of Anna on the clock. Maybe this opening choice was a bit surprising. Yeah, I don't see any particular issues for black, at the moment. How is white going to sort of develop this
Do you
this
mean the opening
position?
choice of white was surprising?
Of black, of
Of
black. Yeah,
black,
I
but
don't know.
going
I don't
to,
know how regularly she plays this stuff.
oh yeah, this is what you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I know
because
she plays a
Shansai is not an
Sicilian.
E5 player. Yeah, that's what I see. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a draw here, but at the same time, yeah, that's it. Full stop. That brings me to the next question that I wanted to ask you now that we're here. Irina, have you ever been in that situation that you were facing your very close friends on the board, and did that somehow affect your performance?
That's a good question, Dina. Yeah, I mean, not in international events. Like I don't know, at Olympiads or world team championships or world championships. I never really had that experience because um well, let's see. I never made any particular effort to be like, very close friends, with any of the people that I was going to be like competitive against. Although, with years it does happen, with years like sometimes you just happen to be roommates with someone, you get to know them better. Like that's how I actually got to know some of these ladies, like I lived with Nino Batsiashvili and at a tournament in Qatar, and I lived with Harika, maybe even multiple years in Gibraltar. Um, I got to know her there, so we became friendly. Um, but yeah, I mean, maybe not close enough to feel like any problems, like for me. And I think that's an area like I'm comfortable in staying at. I don't want to feel like I'm playing my best friends. Because I did have like in the US championship, I was close friends with a girl named Irina, and I played her several times in the US women's championships, and I never found that particularly pleasant. So I think like playing someone like you're really close with, like that you're, more than just like your chess friend, it's not the best experience. It's hard to be quite as motivated. Um, so yeah, I prefer to have, just good relationships with everyone, friendly, but like not feeling like I'm playing like my close friends.
Oh, yeah. So I see you have been keeping that professional distance, so to be, maybe not voluntarily, as you say, but
Yeah, I
uh,
think for me, I'm kind of lucky in that in the sense that I live in the US. And so I already just by geography, I'm kind of separated from a lot of the European events. And I never played these European Club Cups, European Championships, European Team Championships. Like, I didn't have all those opportunities actually to like kind of hang out and play these players over and over again. So I would normally face them in tournaments like the World Cup or the Olympiad, or some other individual event where it's like you just kind of you kind of just go there and do your business, and it's not so much for hanging out.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes perfect sense here. Yeah, well, personally, me, I have been in such situations. Obviously, that was just by the fact, as you say, because I have been playing for years in the Russian league, in the team competitions, and when you play like for, let's say, for 7 years or with this in the same team, and you leave, you share a room with the same people, sometimes you get very close, and yeah, when it comes to facing them, it might be intimidating, but all right. I think we will see soon if Anna and Jensaya are here in their fighting mode or not, or maybe in the peaceful one.
Yeah, this is
And
looking peaceful. This is looking peaceful, Dina.
yeah, something
I
tells me,
mean,
you're no prejudice for now.
yeah, I feel like, I mean, even I just kind of wonder, like, is Black gonna take that knight and go for opposite colored bishops? I mean, it doesn't seem like a terrible decision. I mean, okay, your king will still not really, we don't know what to do with that king. Maybe you even do that and castle. Okay, I'm not so sure about what I'm suggesting there. I mean, should you let white take on e6? It's also possible. Also possible.
Correct.
Actually, it's an interesting decision. Like, I'm very curious what Jensaya will do because basically she's going to have to give up one of her bishops. That's what, is I think the decision in front of her. I mean, she's not going to play like bishop c8, yeah. So she did play an interesting move, and she's
Rook
choosing to give up,
h6.
yeah, the bishop on e6, and she wants to take with the rook there.
That makes some sense. How many rook lifts have we seen so far in this tournament?
Quite a lot, yeah. I mean, at some points in this game, White wants to play like g4, but they have to prepare it because there's knight h4 is a little annoying. Will she take the bishop? Well, she doesn't have to.
Wow.
Not to take it yet. So she might choose to do something else. What else could she really do? I mean, she could needs to be a little careful with like moving the knight from c3 because then black might get greedy and take the a2 pawn.
Yeah. You know, I suggest now that things are pretty stabilized, how about we go and take a look what Maria Muzichuk is doing versus Dinara Sudwakasova.
Yeah, let's take a look. Yeah, she was sitting out the last round. And here she is, and it's okay, it's like a little bit of a strange
Wow.
thing.
Shouldn't be taking so much time for these players to think about move number 6 in this position.
Yeah, wow. So is she gonna play a3 here, or because I mean, yeah, this is some kind of a line with queen b7, knight b4, but I think a3 is a move. Yeah, possible.
Yeah, interesting. There are so many moves. I Something tells me that we might not have an update here, so let us just go ahead and see the board number 3 of this matchup.
Yeah, maybe knight d2 as well. Yeah, as you were saying, develop and get ready to play like rook c1 at some point. Yeah,
So
knight d2
here
is a
we
safe move.
go. Yeah, 82. That was our final conclusion. 92, rook c1, and something like this is expected. Now, jumping into the board number 3, we have Anna Shenina with... We had Anna Shenina with with white pieces facing Kamalidinova from Kazakhstan, women international master. And this is something that where we see more action. Let's take a look. We had this. Ooh, wow. So it started as King's Indian and then transformed into Grunfeld.
Symmetric Grunfeld, yeah.
Symmetrical. Oh, this one I remember. Very good idea. Knight g4, treating this knight, very typical one. Yeah, what's the first thing I learned about this position when I saw it at the first time? C takes d5, knight takes e5. Yeah, should actually be going to a draw, but no. Anna doesn't agree with me. Ooh,
So
that's
why does the
interesting.
computer, yeah, the computer seems to prefer white, and I'm trying to understand
What is
why.
the reason behind it?
I mean, I guess the bishop on g2 is very good, but I mean, is that enough?
Ah, it might have been the fact that c takes d5 would be a better option. And now after, let's say, knight c3, you do not have to take on e5 anymore. You can actually either protect the pawn with e6 or even consider pushing at d4. Now that makes a lot of difference in the
Yeah, but
game we
so
had.
let's see what we have. Bishop takes e5, knight c3, takes knight c6. Okay. So is bishop h6 a move? I mean, I'm sure it is.
Bishop h6,
Yeah.
attacking. Now let's say rook moves somewhere because you're kind of not in the position of be willing to trade those bishops. Rook e8. Now queen should move somewhere, let's say queen d2,
d2. Yeah.
preparing rooks into the fight. That could be an option.
So like white is just a bit more active here. They're a little bit more mobilized to put their rooks in the center than black. Their knight's already on d5. I guess that's the advantage. Like if black plays, let's just make a move. Like if they play, yeah, now if they play e6, also then their bishop gets shut down by the pawn.
Yeah,
And
you
if they don't play e6, then you're never really gonna, get rid of that knight. You're not gonna quite equalize. Yeah, that's the advantage. I mean, white is just further along in their development in this symmetrical position.
Well, very nicely played by Anna. I really admire how she used those tiny little imperfections to transform into a decent advantage after the opening.
Yeah, it seems like, the pawn structure is symmetric, but there is a difference in the piece activity for sure. And I think bishop h6 makes a lot of sense because, she needs to develop that bishop somewhere, and developing with tempo is a good idea. And if black blocks with bishop g7, then their king is going to get a bit weaker
Yeah, that
after the
makes
trade.
sense. That makes sense.
So how is board 4 doing?
Yeah, so the board 4, let us have a look. Board 4, board 4. On the board 4, we have Natalia Buksa versus Gulmira Deuletova. Okay.
And she won in her last round. And we have a Kalashnikov, I believe. Can we see if this was indeed a Kalashnikov? Yeah.
Okay. E5. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually turned into a Sveshnikov.
Right. Now white has this perfect, literally perfect knight on d5, protected by both pawns, and there is no other black pawn that can kick this knight out. Also, the d6 pawn is a weakness, and I really love the structure of white, but I'm so disappointed to see that the evaluation bar gives the preference to black.
Yeah, just very, very slightly, right? I mean, I don't think this is a big deal. Let's see why the computer might prefer. Well, okay, right now the knight is hanging. So knight b4, knight takes b4 and queen takes b4 is probably the point that black just has quite a bit of activity with the queen. Although, I mean, an advantage for black can only really happen if they improve their bishop. I mean, it's hard to talk about any advantage with that bishop on g7. So like, but yeah, there's play against b3 pawn. That's basically what it comes down to. That black is always going to have some counterplay against b3. And neither of the bishops, either for white or for black, are that amazing. No, I don't think black can really go knight d4. Knight d4 is also interesting, but then you have to consider knight takes, pawn takes, and e5. And there's like
Yeah.
some exchange sack there.
In some ideal world, it would be a dream for black, as I showed, to transfer the bishop to b6 and then to be able to conquer this d4 square. But so far, it doesn't seem very much possible. Also, please mind the fact that black has just hang this pawn on d6, and this is a trap, because if you take it, you might want to say goodbye to your dearest queen.
Oh, wow. Nice little move. Yeah. Oh, queen b6 is reasonable. I guess she just thought, like, okay, the knight on c2 is not so good. Well, okay, I mean, white will probably play. What can we assume white will play? Does she want to play knight d4 somewhere?
Yeah, my
I
dream
think
would
rook
be to come with
a1,
Rook a1 makes sense. My dream would be to come to knight e3 and knight d5, but once again, you would then say hi after knight
Yeah.
d4. Ooh, that is interesting. I kind of feel a little bit of frustration for white here. I really think they might have had better chances earlier to improve from that dream position. But a Sicilian player would tell me no, it's a completely normal situation for black.
Yeah, I think this is pretty even, this one. Definitely don't mind black's position, but I can't see how white would be worse either for the moment.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And that being said, with the position being even, have we already covered all the four boards of this match? I suggest we take a very short break and then get back to you very soon.
All right, guys, we'll see you in a few minutes.
Welcome back to the round 4 of FIDE World Women's Team Chess Championship. Here we are, one Grandmaster Dina Belenka and Grandmaster Irina Krush. And the round is about to get into the second half of each of the games. We have Russia facing India. This is the most exciting, I say, matchup of the whole round robin stage. What do you think, Irina?
Yeah, it's either going to be Russia, India, or this one. And I mean, well, we already had an exciting match, Ukraine versus Georgia, to start the tournament in round 1. So that was a match between two heavyweights in this tournament. Well, let's take a look. Shall we go back and start looking again what is going on in the Russia match?
Yeah, that's an amazing idea. So far, we have had, let me bring you, Gerashkina versus Harika. Ooh, what do we have here?
Okay, this is interesting. Yeah, I mean, Harika has like a kind of a typical King's Indian structure, and
Wow.
I think it's not bad for her. She traded pieces, which is what you do when you have less space. Probably plays G6 or something. Yeah,
This is the whole idea of this line with Queen E7. You kind of go for this one. You kind of go for it when you want to trade that bishop and create this big pawn structure of King's Indian. So I bet Harika achieved everything she wanted out of the opening. And now she even has a better position. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, she has twice less time, which is unfortunate, but the position is fairly stable and simple to play. So that's the good news. You know, it's basically this King's Indian structure, except there's no dark squared bishop on the board. One, you know, the both bishops for black have been traded off actually. And you know, White's knight on h4 is not very impressive. I mean, I don't really know what it's doing there. The bishop, of course, the light squared bishop is not impressive either. And the question now is, I mean, okay, White cannot play b4 ideas because they simply cannot afford to give up the c5 square to the black knight. So yeah, of course, b5, as you're pointing out, is one of the possible ideas that black will eventually try to carry out. I mean, their knight on f6, I mean, I wonder if they have any plans to get that knight to the queen side, but it's not so easy. I mean, knight e8. Oh, that's not the move that happened.
No.
There's something else on the board. The queen, by the way, look, like some things have happened. The queen is on h4, Dina. So I think if you update, we're gonna
Ooh. Wow.
see something here.
Queen.
Yeah, what is the current position on the board?
Yeah, let us take a look at what we have, what we see at the cameras, because this is where we have the whole truth. It seems like the pawn is on e5, the queen is on, yeah, probably it got there. Ooh, the pawn is not on g3. No, wait, what? Where's the g pawn? It got traded? The g pawn of White got traded. Wow. We're trying to understand. Wow, there is a lot of things. I do definitely see. No, wait, what? The pawn is on g2 and the queen is on h4.
There's a pawn on h5, I think, right?
Yeah, queen on h4 and the g pawn is on g2. Okay. Seems like it is pretty slightly different. How about we go and see what is happening in the board number 2?
Okay.
And this is Varshali versus Kostyuk. Not anything haven't happened here so far. We got this position and nothing big so far. Wouldn't be surprised that was a theory. No, it's not. That I am surprised. All right. So this is, oh, look at this e4 move. Wow.
Yeah.
This is definitely not something that Kostyuk was expecting. Now knight c6, d takes, and this is the position that we have right now. Okay. And wow. I'm trying to evaluate it. I don't like the fact that queen on d8 is under the rook on d1. This is an X-ray. I would look any possible way to move this queen away. Also, there are all these captures. The bishop is strong, and white is somehow lacking development here.
Yeah, it's a complicated position, actually. I mean, there's so many moves for black. I would look at the move pawn d4, but there's also bishop c5, right? Which is quite logical. I mean, you know, you always want to point at the f2 pawn. Let's see, bishop c5, because if pawn takes d5, okay, we can think about that. Let's say pawn takes d5. What's going to happen?
Yeah, pawn takes
There.
d5. We gotta have
There's
knight
a very interesting move.
b4.
Yeah, there's knight b4. There was some kind of bishop. Yeah. Knight
Bishop,
b4. Yeah.
you
I don't know.
you wanted to say?
No, I don't want to say anything. Forget that.
Okay, okay. I see, I see. That was yet another perfect combination.
Yeah, knight b4. Okay, so this queen is decidedly short of squares, isn't she? So queen b3. Let's try.
Queen b3, but here we go knight d3.
Yeah, and so you see that f2 pawn is hanging. Yeah. Bishop
Okay.
c5 is a good move. Yeah. Oh, by the way, she didn't play it. She played bishop e2. Also interesting.
Yeah. Bishop e2. Wow, this is pretty nice. Attacking the rook. Now rook has to go away. And
Yeah.
well, rook will go away. And now the bishop. Well, normally if you put the bishop here, you're gonna go take this knight, but that is a weird thing. You kind of do not want to give away your bishop when you're playing in such an open position.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I mean, I guess she's thinking about, here's the thing, she's thinking about bishop f3. If bishop f3, there's knight d4.
Bishop
And
f3,
if knight
bishop
f3, she's thinking
knight d4.
knight
Ooh, that
d.
makes sense.
Yeah,
Let's say
knight.
there is this pawn. It could be
She
your
maybe even
idea.
takes with the pawn. Yeah, pawn, and then takes on c5, and then she's fine. So she's not necessarily going to be better. There's probably going to be a lot of simplification here. Knight g5, yeah.
And you're gonna
A
go
lot of
take this pawn?
simplification, but I guess she thought she was going to be okay here, but you know, she's still a little bit worse, but maybe it's not a big deal. But still, what move does she make? Knight d4.
Rook e1, we have it.
Yeah.
Rook e1. Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. Very interesting. We also have Tanya versus Lagno Katerina. And this is the game that we also want to see. Our viewers are saying in the chat that Tanya is having a big advantage. Let us see if that's true. It seems like that is true.
Wow.
Let me have a look. Bishop e3, the move that she wanted to do has happened in the game after rook takes, bishop takes, or rook takes d4. Nice. C takes d4. Didn't you suggest rook
Yeah.
d2?
Yeah, we looked at rook d3. Yeah.
Rook d3, sorry. Yeah, rook d3 was the move. Okay,
Okay,
instead,
so
it's c takes, bishop takes f3, rook takes, knight d4, rook d3. For now, everything is under control. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's already not very much under control. I mean, it already feels like it's going in the wrong direction. I mean, the knight is getting established and reminds me of Zawadzka's knight, but you know, maybe even better because white doesn't have the bishop here.
Yeah, I see from the previous game where Anna Muzic closed on time. Ooh, all right. Bishop c1, or sorry, rook c1, queen b6, knight d2, rook 8. For now, everything that white is doing is still logical. Bringing the knight to c4.
Yeah.
Wait. Wow. Apparently, there is a very deep understanding of this situation. Apparently, I see the computer's evaluation.
Well, can I give you my opinion? Yeah, let me tell you what I think is going on. The problem is white didn't do anything to challenge those strong knights, and so that's why her position is getting gradually worse. Let's go back instead of knight c4. What about knight f3? Is that like losing for some reason, or can she just challenge this knight? Oh,
there is a
okay.
fork, unfortunately.
So what else can she have done?
Rook e3. Protect him from the fork. And after rook takes,
Yeah,
f
pawn
takes, and no
takes, and
f2. Kicking away the strongest piece of black would also make a lot of sense.
yeah. Yeah, she left her rook just staring into the night. And wow, she has very little time. Tanya is playing like instantly. I guess
Wow.
thinking on her
40
time.
minutes! No way! 40 minutes for Tanya. Wow, what an impressive performance so far.
Really impressive. I mean, she's just completely winning on the clock, and you know, it's not like Logno is being helped by using the time. Let's see the position on the board. It looks like she's in trouble there with some tactics.
Yeah, the position that we
Wow.
have right now is knight e3, knight e4, knight g4, knight x f2, knight x f2, and knight e2, and we're getting a exchange up. Yeah, so after king h1, let's assume knight takes c1, queen takes, and now rook takes f2, completely lost
Yeah,
position
she
for her.
got destroyed in this game. Wow.
Wow.
It is surprising.
It is, in fact, yeah. Well, Tanya is a very, very strong player, but Lagno is grandmaster. She's world blitz champion. She is multiple world blitz champion, and yeah, Tanya
That's
was definitely
surprising.
an underdog in this game.
It definitely puts Russia into a tough situation. I mean, because they're losing with white so quickly and so clearly. So they need to make things happen on the other three boards. Let's see what they can make happen. Okay, what's going on board 4?
Yeah, that is a good question. We have Gomez here versus Shuvalova. Last time we saw this game, we had seen bishop h3 as the move. Now knight d5, bishop takes g2, king takes g2, rook c8, c3, knight f6, bishop g5, knight takes d5, queen takes, short castle, rook d1, knight e5, rook d4, rook e8, rook f, d1, b6, and a4. This is the position that we have right now. We can see that the evaluation bar shows us an advantage for black. Now let's understand why is black better here.
Why is black better? Well, yeah, and that's quite a bit better, right? Because it's almost down to the third rank. The evaluation bar is almost down to the third rank. So
don't they say whenever you have a piece or opponent in the opponent's camp, it is already a big advantage? Now we have the evaluation bar in the opponent's camp.
yeah, so big advantage. Well, black cannot play e6 yet. I mean, first of all, okay, I noticed the knight on b3 is out of place. Like, obviously, that's just quite a poor knight. And white still has nothing in the center. And you know, their rook is kind of awkward on d4. I mean, those are the bad things about white's position. On the other hand, black still needs a plan to actually exploit all of this, right? Because I mean, you know, white has no real weaknesses in the pawn structure. And black also, you know, is not able to easily move his pawns in the center. I think, though, Dinam, I mean, ideally, black would like to play e6 and d5. If he can get those two moves in, he's going to be happy. So he might want to think about how to make this happen, right? Is this a feasible plan?
There are two problems for that. First of all, you kind of need to protect d6. Let's say you will play bishop f8, but that's not the only issue. The second thing is that there is always queen takes e5 in the
I have an
air.
idea, Dina. I have an idea.
Tell
E6.
me.
Let's go e6. You know
Wow.
how we say if you want to do something, just do it. Queen b7.
Ooh,
And
okay.
knight
Now that I'm...
c4. Knight c4 next.
Wow.
And I want to get b2 pawn with my wonderful position. Okay, computer, it's fine. You don't have to approve everything I do. But it's still... Okay, that's a good defense, queen d7, yeah? That spoiled my plans just a little bit.
No, but actually it is an achievement for black. No, it's not. Black was already better.
Maybe we could do better. So e6, queen d6, hold on. After queen b7, was there some other discovery that was good? Because I thought the computer was liking this idea.
Oh, king g1.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
you're
right here, he
right.
likes it there. So there's something.
There's
There's
f6, attacking the bishop. Now, when the bishop
really
goes away, let's say somewhere here. Ooh, say hi to your queen. How is she doing?
wow, wow.
That is nice. You see, your ideas got approved.
There we go. There we go. I love it when I accidentally land on something good.
Maybe it wasn't an accident after all.
I just had to. Well, I made the strategy. E6, D5. That was good. I think because it's hard to win without using the center pawns, right? That's like black's advantage over white. So I like it's a very healthy, it's a very healthy plan to try to use the center.
Yeah, correct. Totally agree with you on this one. All
That was
right.
beautiful though. I loved that F6 bishop F8, like that the computer
Absolutely.
has in mind. Yeah.
And you know what? Now look at the lines that computer suggests. E6 is the line number 1, and I'm wondering whose advice was that.
Yay. That was mine. Okay.
Here we go. Queen
Yeah.
B5. Let's just queen B7 then. And guess what? It happened in the game. E6 is the current position on the board.
Nice. Go, yeah. Shavalova.
Well
She found a
done.
good one.
Well done, Polina,
Yeah.
or well done, Irina? I'm confused. Who has done a better job?
Well, she probably sees this F6. F6 is such an unusual little move, isn't it? Like, because positionally, you don't really think about F6 ever, but it blocks your own bishop. But on the other hand, it blocks their bishop, gives you sometimes rook d8 ideas, and then it protects your knight on e5. So that was really cool. And I think the lesson for our audience, guys, because I like to break down moves into like their underlying ideas. The lesson is that you just have to, the center is the most important part of the board. You always want to look there and see what can I improve in the center. Like, okay, you have pawns on e7 and d6. It's very mild, right? Like not very aggressive placement. And actually, why not consider, advancing them and just checking out. Like as long as you're making forcing moves, you're attacking your opponent's pieces, and you can continue doing so. It makes sense to look in that direction and calculate a little bit.
Absolutely. All right. So this was about it between India and Russia.
So Shuvalova might even out this match. So now what's going on in Vaishali and Kostenyuk? I know an Indian viewer here who is telling us that that Vaishali is better now. Is that the case? Let's see.
Well, we didn't have that much of an update so far. Now black is thinking, maybe considering bishop takes f3 or any other option, but the truth is there is only bishop takes f3, which is more or less playable. Also knight b4, attacking the queen, maybe. Who knows? But we
Yeah,
still don't
that
have an
has all
update.
happened. It's happened. A lot of things have changed there. If you update, you can see from the video that they have made a lot of moves. And by the way, we see Rublevsky is the coach. And is that
Yes.
is that Ryazantsev? Is that the other coach? Who's that guy in the red shirt?
Yeah, there are two coaches. Yeah, correct. They're the two coaches of the team.
Yeah,
Okay, so you were
Rublevsky
right.
pacing back and forth, man. He's like, he just can't stand still. Look at him. He's like, look.
Yeah,
He's
he's worried. He's worried, and that's understandable.
yeah.
So
I mean, he literally hasn't stopped walking around.
well, he's the coach. The coach gets the most, let's say, nervous part of the thing, and he has to like he sees. I mean, well, we don't need to look for a reason. Katerina Lagno is about to lose, and that is so fast. That's white, as you pointed out yourself. So
Yeah.
pretty logical out here.
Oh, I know who
Okay.
that guy in the red shirt is. I've identified the mystery man. Do you know?
Yeah.
You know who that is?
Tell me.
That is Zaven Andreasyan.
Ah, the coach of Armenian team then.
Yes,
Probably.
yes.
I see.
Yeah.
Right. So my thing was, I wanted to show you how the Kostenyu game continued. Wow. Whoa. Wait, what? This is completely different from what we saw. No way. Whoa. Okay, let
Wait,
me
what
tell
is
you.
this?
This is completely different.
Wait, this is someone else.
This is
Someone
Shelly
else's
versus...
game.
No way.
Isn't that weird? Like we had a totally different opening, and now this is.
You're right. No.
But it's.
Yes.
I'm not sure.
No. Yes.
On ace.
All right. Let us just stick to what we have.
Yeah.
d4, bishop b6, bishop e3, and this is the position that we see right now. e5, d takes e5, knight d5, bishop b6, knight takes b6, queen c2, knight e7, rook a d1, bishop e6, knight e4. We've got trade. Look at this nice knight. Ooh, Vaishali is indeed better. Now I understand what our viewers were
Oh
saying.
yeah, she's totally
Oh,
got the
whoa, whoa,
initiative.
whoa. Okay. A lot of
Wow.
initiative here. Look at this pawn on a6. It is amazing. Look at the knight on c5. Oh boy, Vaishali is so dangerous.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I mean, beautiful knights, obviously a lot better than Black's knights. Okay. So let's think about how to improve on this position. If you take
Okay.
an f7, queen f7,
Queen
does that do
f7.
anything?
Take on f7, queen f7.
I mean, you can plant a knight on e6 and like attack the c7 square. That's not too bad. I mean, in a way, you want to use e6 because your knight on d4 can't really go anywhere. Um, I mean, there's some other interesting ideas, like, I don't know, you can go knight f3 and try to go knight e5, but that feels a bit slow. Actually, it's interesting. It's not that slow. It's not that bad. Knight f3.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Ooh, Kostanuk doesn't seem like she enjoys her position. Yeah, now we can understand how or why the coach is so stressed. Well, at the
Yeah.
same time, you know what? It's just a game of a round robin. It's just a game of like yeah, of course, you kind of want to win this, but you do. It's not. It doesn't guarantee anything. It's just showing how, let's say, confident you are. But even if like Russia doesn't win this match, nothing's gonna change
Yeah, yeah. It's
their
really
placement.
not bad. Nothing bad is gonna happen to them if this match, doesn't work out. Like, I mean, they're definitely going to qualify to the playoff stage. That's for sure.
It's not
Um,
gonna be the end of the world. That was the thing.
yeah, I agree. So, Rublevsky doesn't need to get too nervous.
Yeah,
He
that's
can leave that for the playoffs. That level of nervousness.
ooh,
Um,
correct. So, what are we up to? We have seen Russia versus India. We have seen Kazakhstan versus Ukraine, but a long time ago. I'm really curious to see what is happening in the game of Anna Muzichuk and Jansaya Abdumalik.
all right, yeah, that ends game. Let's see if where they are in that.
Oh, that's still fine. It's still fine. Let me see how it goes here. But seems like they are playing. Seems like they are playing this game. This is the position that we saw so far. Equal still, and now white has a certain advantage: better pawn structure, more activity, and better rook, better king, space advantage, and better pawn structure. And that's it. Space advantage and the pawn structure.
Yeah. It's why I think I still can't really see myself playing the Berlin, I
Why do
just
you
feel
say
like,
so?
I mean, it's interesting, it's solid, but like, but but why play chess to get positioned like this straight from the opening, So many openings you can play.
So we're like, you're not convinced for black.
Yeah, because like look at this, like, it's like suffering. Did she ever have fun in this game? It's like straight from the opening right into this. I feel like it's not my chess chess philosophy. That's why it's very hard. I mean, I can see myself playing other openings in the Sicilian, but I try to avoid things where if my opponent picks lines like this, like that there's going to be play for two results. I think that's generally my personal, preference is that the play should be for three results.
I see what point. If you were to describe your style, what would it be?
Um, Well, let's see my style. I would say, I try to play like active positional style. You know,
Hmm.
like obviously that positional part and the whole strategy and the planning and the prophylaxis, like all of that is like the stronger part of my game. And I don't have like these just like pure brutal attacks, very often. But at the same time, I like to try to play, interesting positions, not too dry. Although, if it needs to be dry, that's okay. Yeah, just keeping it interesting, strategically rich positions, and that's why in general, like I've um wanted to always play interesting openings and can definitely experiment once in a while, with things like the King's Indian, and not only going to, my main repertoire. Um, so, yeah, that's how I would describe it.
Well,
I would say if I had to pick players, let's say to make it clear, what kind of players in this tournament am I closer to in style? I would say in this who's from the ones that are playing in this tournament, I would say Goryachkina.
all right. I really like
Yeah,
your choice.
there
But you
you
know,
go.
what I think about it, I've seen so many games of you playing Queen's Gambit Accepted, and I used to think, which is my main opening against D4, by the way, and I've seen like I used to think that that was a positional opening, but I recently discovered that is extremely dynamical.
Yeah, I mean, Queen's Gambit accepted. I mean, I guess the reason I've always liked it is because it is fairly diverse. Even though in one way it's narrow. What I like about it is that black chooses it, and you get to control what opening you're playing rather than some other openings where white has a choice of tons of lines. Like let's say against the Grunfeld, white will choose like from 10 different lines or something, right? So that part I like about it, but it also has a pretty wide range of structures, right? That can happen. I mean, for such a narrow opening, it has that. So you can play it and you can play it for your whole life, and you can learn um, a lot of important structures like the isolated queen's pawn. It's a good one to learn. You can learn it from, from the QGA. You learn like the symmetrical pawn structures that can come out from other queens gambits as well, where just the C and D pawns are traded. So yeah, it's really not a bad opening. I share your devotion to it.
Nice. Yeah, well, we fortunately or unfortunately do have to come back to the games. And we were about to cover the matchup between Ukraine and Kazakhstan. There is a board two here. No, there is not. So we don't have an update. Let's go and see how board three is doing. On the board three, we have Anna Ushenina here with white pieces
Hmm.
facing a lower rated opponent. And the position seems still playable for black. We have
Wow,
e5.
E5, interesting.
Nice.
That's a little unexpected.
The knight is becoming super strong here on d5. And looks like a future outpost after e4. Well, might not actually be the
Oh,
necessary.
interesting. Like if you play B5, they go knight A5, and they keep having this fork idea. So if you take an
Hmm.
E5, they're going to have the fork idea. If you play B5, they're going to have the fork idea. So that's obviously what black is going for here. Um,
How
so
about
now
knight f6, attacking the bishop? And
attacking the pawn, yeah?
you're not attacking the bishop, and attacking the pawn, yeah.
What if the pawn takes you?
Hmm. Oh, that's not something what I want. I don't want to have double pawns. Definitely not.
Yeah, this is quite tricky for white, actually.
Yeah, giving some like practical posing like asking some practical questions.
Yeah, I mean, it's like theoretically we knew white's position looked nice. Practically, it's a bit less clear. And I can see black equalizing this. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
have a sense, like, I don't have, like, I see the computer's evaluation, but I have no idea how it's like arriving there. So, which makes me think that anything can happen in this game. And Dina, we haven't taken a look at any of Georgia's games, and Georgia is playing Poland. I think that's actually an interesting match to just check out.
Definitely. So for Georgia, we have board number one, Yolanta Zavanska here with white pieces facing Nana Zagnidze. And what do we have here?
Yeah, I have to say, so it's hard for me to guess what opening this is. Is this like a Caracan? I mean, I don't
Very
know.
well,
I don't
well
know.
done. Very well
Is it?
done. It
Okay.
is a Caracan with four knights.
Yeah, I had no idea how this structure was even possible, but why I had to guess that it was the Caracan is because just of who was playing black. And I know the Caracan is part of her repertoire, just like the Sicilian is. She can play it. So I had to make that guess like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, there is also one more thing that could actually help. This pawn structure, we call it in the Russian speaking world a saw, I believe is the right translation. Have you
mhm,
heard about this term?
mm-mm, nope.
It is that thing that you use to cut the wood.
Yep.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is
I
how
haven't
we
heard
call
that.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, how we call this pawn I mean, normally the pawn is on g7, but this is about it. And it actually occurs from, for instance, Slav or Queen's Gambit declined, and of course from Caro-Kann and from Caro-Kann.
Okay, let's try to find a move. Oh, Zagnize just played something. So
Yeah.
can we see what the current position is because there's something on the board?
Ooh, there is not the same thing at all. Look at that queen on c7, and we have it on a6. What if I refresh this
Are they
page?
again completely switching all the games on us?
Let's pretend that everything is under control.
Yeah, so we'll
And
just talk about this position even though it's
we can jump to the board too.
yeah. Okay. Let's jump to board two. Let's see if that one's gonna be matching up.
So here we have. Remind me who we have on the board too.
Probably Batsiashvili.
Yeah, that makes sense. Versus Sochko.
Yeah.
Okay. Not something that we would
Oh, they
wish
drew.
for.
They drew already.
Okay. And how about.
Then we have Kulon versus Java and Kubika versus Melia.
Yeah, Kulon versus Johishvili Leila. And this is
Ooh.
very interesting. Ooh, look at those bishops. How bishop do they sound to you? How
Yeah,
bishy.
these are not real bishops.
Wow. A
Well,
perfect
okay. How does
example of a
white win?
domination of knights over bishops.
How does white do something here? I mean, we see the advantage is there, but I guess white has to play c4 at some point. I mean, that's the oh, they also have the g pawn, but the g pawn is probably not enough.
Yeah, because
Although
even if you advance it, you do not want to do anything. You do not want to capture, do you? You
so you
probably do
want to
not.
play c4. If you play c4, you can try to break through to the b6 pawn, but you can't do it yet. So what is she trying to do with like rook b1? Oh, that's weird. She, what was that? Like that was strange. She sacked a pawn and she's helping black get rid of their worst piece, really?
Wait, what? Bishop takes c6. B takes c6, rook takes c6. What was the whole
95.
point?
I mean, she sees there's compensation, of course. I mean, you're gonna go rook b2 and
Ooh. Oh, here is an important decision. You cannot just go rook d6 because it's gonna be more complicated for you to activate the bishop. Is that the
it's gonna be
case?
very passive, yeah?
In fact, rook c7, giving
Ah,
up
bishop
immediately the
b4,
basics.
bishop
And
b4.
oh, okay, this is definitely something, not something that White saw when playing knight c6. This would be my guess.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, no, but this knight c6 was a little too premature. She kind of rushed in with that. Uh,
Definitely. And 95 is something that we have right now on the board. Now the question is, will Black find? Will Black understand that the right move is rook c7?
I think she will because like once you're here, it's not that hard to see the bishop b4 idea.
True, correct. Even if you didn't see it before, you might accidentally find it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So we're going to go on a little break and we're going to come back, to watch these exciting games.
back to FIDE World Women's Chess Championship. We're in the most exciting part of it, round 4. And now Russia is facing India, something that many have been waiting for, something that we really expected to have during the online Olympiad finals. But there was that girl called Irina Krush, grandmaster of chess, who managed to represent her country and help her get out to the finals. United States of America kicked India out, knocked out, and then we had United States versus Russia. We didn't find we didn't see Russia, India, and that's why we see it right now.
Yeah, so we have this interesting match. Dina, Lagno, Sachdev. Let's see what their current position is.
Yeah, so this is the game that we had, and the current position is here. And it seems like Lagno is about to have a very nice protected pass pawn. That is a good thing.
3-5, 3-4. So actually she is up a pawn and she has a little bit more time, right?
Yeah, this is a protected pass pawn. And one say whenever you have such a protected pass pawn, I mean, sorry, it's not protected, it's just a pass pawn. But whenever you have it with heavy pieces, it's basically a win.
Yeah, the queen is a poor blockader. The queen is never going to move from d7, and eventually white will find a way, I think, to break through, whether it's, first white will play h3 or g3. Yeah, she played g3. Then white will play like rook d5, maybe threaten b5 in some way, and just kind of like, yeah, it's hard for black to cover everything, to cover b5, to cover c7 square, where eventually white's queen might need to get to. So definitely looks pretty good for Lagno at this moment. For those of you who are completely flabbergasted as to what we're saying, like before the break, we were talking about how Lagno was losing to Sachdev. Well, I mean, just so you know, for some reason, the game that we were looking at was listed under their names, but it was obviously a different game. Now, don't ask us how that's possible, but that's what happened. So that's how Lagno came back from a losing position to this winning position, because that game was something else. So don't mind that. I mean, when has it ever been important that the position on the board is lined up with the players' names? I mean, it's just a detail. So let's get on to the next game. How about how's Kostyuk doing against Vaishali? I mean, she seemed to be in some trouble there.
Yeah, and there we go. Kostyuk versus Vaishali versus Kostyuk. We had seen this position after e6. Now, what happened is that black still suffers because of this e6 pawn, extremely strong. Now trying to survive, desperately trying to survive. Did black do some progress?
Well, I definitely still don't like black's position. I mean, the only thing I like about black's position is the time. And okay, still, it's tricky because, white can't play queen e3. I don't think white really wants to trade queens. I mean, white's better if they trade queens, but it doesn't feel like that's the best they can have. But how do they avoid the queen trade? You kind of hope that white would get some attack, right? With that rook on g3 and knight on d7. I mean, they were supposed to be attacking. So trading queens, it feels like a little bit of a letdown.
Correct. Well, let us assume like accidentally happens. And then there is still knight c5, there is still the pawn, there is still the rooks.
Yeah, maybe she'll have to do that and go like rook d3 and just kind of come back around to the center and forget whatever that rook was doing on the g file. Still better for white. It's just somehow I feel like, white probably was dreaming of something else, but
yeah, sometimes. So do I. And queen d5 just happened in the game, by the way. Queen d5, so we expect knight d5. There we go. And this is the current position that we have right now. Okay, yeah, the question is, rook a3, very nice. reminding to black that they still have one more weakness apart from facing that strong knight and the pawn in their camp.
Yeah, good move by Vaishali. Just 38 seconds. It's really an unfortunate situation to be in. I mean, such a good position. Um, and I guess rook a8, knight c5, a5. I mean, I think Kosteniuk will probably try this rook a8 move. I mean, what does she have to lose by trying to protect the pawn?
a5. Rook a8 just happened. We're gonna expect something like knight c5 and a5, probably. And that was.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think she's going to lose just because the time situation is really bad for white.
Oh no! Look at this, b4. Isn't it a blunder after f5? Attacking the rook. Rook has to protect both of the pawns, b4 and d6, and where would it go?
It will go to
Ooh.
d4.
Okay, but then...
Yeah, maybe knight b6 too. Or c6.
Okay. c6. Apparently, attacking the pawn, and you have no way... I mean, there is this one. Let's not panic. No,
Yeah,
everything
no
is still
need to
under
panic,
control.
but you know, black is improving a little bit, I think, because the knight on d5 now is like feeling more firmly established. And then there's also knight c7 was an interesting move there, by the way.
Hmm. All right.
Yeah, I think Kosteniuk will be fine here, and she might even win just because of the time situation. That's my prediction. Are you
Wow,
surprised, Dina?
that is actually a very good point. So well done. 38 seconds only for Vershali against 10 minutes. Oh boy. It is not a surprise. Time advantage is almost as important as material advantage, and that actually might cost some troubles to Vaishali.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, we know Logno is doing well. How's Garyachkina doing against Harika?
Mm-hmm. Okay, this looks pretty equal. There's this d6 pawn really strong, but knight and the queen versus knight and the queen. And the material is equal, so it might be not enough advantage to convert here after all.
Okay, so Garyachkina, whoa, whoa. This also was a completely different position. You know that, Dina? There's no way they could get this position from the what? Makes no sense. We were watching it on video, right? On the video, it made. What is this? This looks like my
No
game almost.
panic, no panic, no panic.
No?
Just let's stick to what we have.
Yeah.
King g8. Okay, this is the current position. That's all we know.
Yeah.
How
Okay.
about we have one more. We have Polina Shrivalova versus Gomez. Let's have a look. Ooh. Whoa. Okay. What is this?
And this is something else too.
Don't tell me that. I don't want to hear that.
No. Let me pretend everything is good, okay?
Yeah. So we have two knights and the rook. And two pieces are normally stronger than the rook, but here there's a pass pawn. This is going to be a protected pass pawn. And also it's an endgame. So they say if you ever want to make sense to your rook when she faces two pieces, you kind of need to go to the endgame where your rook would be having more freedom. And this is the case.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like white more. I mean, she's going to get two rooks on the 7th, I think. And there might be some position where like white has two rooks on the 7th, black is a rook on b8, and the e knight goes to d6 and just kind of tries to hold like that. And I mean, but you know, white can improve by like trying to improve their king. So yeah, I like white. Okay, knight d6 blocking, sure, makes sense. Blocking the rook. So rook c7, I guess. I mean, it's hard to imagine not putting the rook there.
Wow. I kind of share this point. Rook c7 is very tempting. But what do we have here? What would be the next move or how to improve?
Because, you know, she can go rook e8 and then rook d7, rook e6.
Ooh, protecting, correct.
Yeah, so maybe she can kind of hold this position.
And
And
at
then,
4, you have something like,
yeah, you also have king e8. I
this is
mean,
actually
you're
the
holding
only
on.
move, but the most logical one. The only move, but the most logical one. All right. Well, look at this one. I really want to show it to our viewers. Rook takes, sorry, the other one. Rook takes d6. Knight takes d6. Well, you cannot take with the rook because then you would lose after rook b7. So knight takes d6. And here b7. Surprise, surprise. You cannot take the rook because of the queen promotion. But you do have knight b7. And after rook b7, we're entering into a completely drawish endgame.
Yeah, so basically, how do we think this match is, um, like, by the positions they have, how would we evaluate this
So let's
match?
go. Let's see. We have Polina and Gomez assuming it's going to be a draw. We have Lagno having a very big advantage versus Tanya, might be a win for Lagno. That would be 1.5 for Russia. Gurashkin and Harika is going to be yet another draw. There's going to be 1-2. And the final game would be between Vaishali and Kostanuk. And in this case, Vaishali would need to win. But the position is
And
drawish now.
her position is not getting better, it's getting worse. So it looks like Russia, I think, will pull out another win today.
Could actually be, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm pretty sure Kostanuk is going to pull out a win in this position. Um, it just feels like the kind of position that Black can play for a win at this point, and White has just completely lost the initiative. And, now the Rook's going to come in on the A file. I don't know. The King's going to come to F6.
I really like your predictions so far. There have been no king that you haven't predicted wrong, as far as I remember.
Well, thank you, Dina.
That is it. That is the
Let me.
intuition
I guess
of
I guess I
professional
should get
chess
into the.
players.
I should get into the horse betting business.
Yeah. We'll start with chess betting. That's already a good one. We do have chess bettings in many bookmakers companies. Right. So
Yeah.
my point was, what was my point? Yeah, Kuzniak is doing great. So Russia's gonna probably win. And we already mentioned that that might not be the most, let's say, decisive match for now. But okay, it is what it is. It is important, even psychologically speaking, to beat India if you ever want to claim a win in this World Championship.
Yeah, let's take a look at some other games. I mean, Muzichuk Abdumalik. I mean, the Ukraine Kazakhstan match, Poland Georgia. There's still a lot of interest over there. Muzichuk, wow.
Okay, Muzichuk is about to win. Wow.
Yeah.
This is exciting. I really like it. I mean, I do not take any side, but I like the fact that this game might be resultative.
What
And
about her sister?
we already
Maria.
have a draw versus Dinaris Dwakasavan.
Oh, okay. And what about Ushenina? That was an end
Ushenina
game.
versus
Amerodinova.
yeah. Okay. This is a slight advantage. Oh, this is an exchange up for weight, but there is a pawn. It is a passed pawn, so might actually not be such a big advantage after all.
Yeah, it's not a big advantage, and especially with the time situation, it looks like 35 seconds is a little bit difficult to handle. Well, what can Black do here? I mean, Black can play knight d5, but then they might find themselves in a pin. What else can they do? They don't have to move their knight, of course, but
there's this a6 move, but I don't really see what's the point of it, probably because you don't have any other move. But that would be
a6 is
sad.
good. Yeah, I like that. Did she play that right or not?
Yeah, just been played. Wow. It's probably the idea is probably to guarantee yourself a spot on c6 and not being kicked away by b5. That could
Exactly.
actually make a sense.
Maybe even on bishop c6, there's no b5. It's a pretty good move. I think Black is overall doing fine here. What about Buksa Doletova?
And the board number 4, Doletova versus Buksa. Seems like Black is better, slightly better, partly because The bishop of c4 is not a bishop. Let's admit it. This is not a bishop. It is surrounded by its own pawns. Pretty restricted. Too much even. And b3 is a pass pawn, but it doesn't go anywhere because it's blocked by the bishop on b4. Also the knight. Look at this knight on e4. Isn't that a monster? And I mean, every single piece of black is at least one step better than that the opponent's piece of the same value. So this is a very big achievement so far.
Yeah, I mean, the question is how to win. So first of all, I think she's going to bring her king somewhere to e7 or f6. I think black, what's important in this position is that black doesn't really need to hurry. Of course, white has some ideas like knight a6, but you can always go bishop c3. Yeah, so now she's bringing the king. That's exactly what she should do. Knight a6 happened. And now, either bishop a5 or bishop c3. I mean, you really can do, your bishop will get to b6 to that diagonal in some way. And, the general point here, okay, if white starts moving the b pawn, they weaken their bishop, and that could be a problem because it's not that easy to get the pawn all that far. Other than that, it's very hard for white to play this passive position. And I can tell you, like, in general, what black wants to do is get the pawn to g4. And if they can do that, get the pawn to g4, knight g5, knight f3, they get some mating threats, or even g5, g4, and then f4 is interesting. I mean, black should be trying to use their majority on the king side. That's basically the point, and they should be patient because they are better.
Yeah, correct. Look at the bishop. The bishop is a masterpiece. Now b4, and probably something like no.
Rook
Yeah. Well,
b1 is good. Yeah, I like rook b1.
Rook b1 is very practical. You put this rook here and you say there is not gonna be any single threat because b6 is gonna be protected. Now bishop d3 makes a lot of sense because you kind of want to get rid of the worst piece you have on the board, but no one will give you this knight. No one will.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't need to calculate though. Bishop takes f5 if you move away the knight.
You do, but the knight on a6 is hanging for now, so you can still move away to c3.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
Assuming
but
knight f6.
Knight f6 or knight c3, I kind of liked. I like just blocking their
Knight
rook.
c6. Yeah, one of these will happen. Here, and then e4, and then you gotta go to this f3 because you know what? When you go knight f6 and you go e4, then there is this your mate, this idea that you wanted to do earlier. I really loved it with the mate, bringing the knight to f3 and then saying hi with the rook on g1.
Yeah, I mean, okay, it's very difficult for white to play. Little time, but it's interesting still. I mean, it's not like black has a ton of time either, but I do expect black to win this game. And that leaves us with what? We've kind of gone all the games, Ukraine, Kazakhstan. How is the Watska doing against Zagnidze?
That is an interesting one. Zavatska versus Zagnidze. Ooh, nope. It's not in my...
Not there. Any other games?
Not in my force to update you on this one, but we do
Toulon versus Java.
Yeah, Cologne already won. Claudia Cologne already won.
Wow. Where was the position that she had? We kind of...
Yeah.
I feel like we saw it at some point.
Oh yeah, remember that trick where the... Okay,
he did play rook d6. Oh
no.
My first suggestion.
It. Correct. She didn't find it, and that actually justifies that knight c6 that we were kind of criticizing. And now black's position is very passive. Oh, wait, what? h6? Was that first?
Yeah. No, that wasn't
to activate. Correct. But now it's just a pawn up and a better position. All right. Wow. Interesting. Rook a5. If you capture, it's going to be rook b8. Bishop g5 check. But it's still a pawn down. Wow. And bishop takes e5. Yeah, and this is the position. And this is how it happened. So it's going to be just this one. Boom. This is a win for Lila. No, sorry. This is the win for Claudia. Well done. What about the rest of the match? Georgia Poland.
Me-
Yeah,
You have to find Melia.
remember that discussion we had in the beginning of this round. Wow, Melia won. Okay. We were saying that Poland really needed to win if they wanted to continue their fight.
Yeah. Did I say that Poland was going to come back in this
Yeah,
tournament?
you did.
Well, it's really hard with 4 losses. I mean, it's still technically possible to get a fourth place, but it's going to be hard, you know?
Oh, yeah.
No one's giving up those matches so easily.
Yeah, well, the problem is that in the round number 5, which is gonna take place tomorrow, Poland will be facing Kazakhstan, as far as I remember, and that's not an easy walk. I mean, Kazakhstan without Bibisara could actually be doable or playable.
Hmm.
Yeah, still give some
Yeah.
hope to Team Poland.
So far, Armenia is beating Spain. Lagno already beat Sachdev. And Azerbaijan lost 1 game in their match against France. Well, let's go back and see some more Russia versus India.
That is exciting. So Garachkin and Harika is a draw. As you said, Lagno must have won. The position is totally winning. And board number
Kostyuk
3.
Vaishali, let's see.
Yeah, Shuvalova made a draw. So Kostyuk Vaishali is the only resting game. And what do we have here? Look at this. Alexander Kostyuk is about to... Oh, blunder! It's just a blunder! King E2! Stepping right into Rook E4. Hello, knight. How are you doing? Oh no, what a pity. Wow, bravo, Irina. You predicted it. Alexander Kostyuk is winning this game, and so does Russia win their match against India.
Yeah, you just can't get that low on time, you know?
Correct.
You just cannot see anything when that happens. So yeah, Russia continues their winning streak. I mean, they winning 3-1 against India, who are their really the closest competitors in this division. And I mean, Russia, yeah, it's a dominating team. I mean, they're going to be very hard to beat unless Georgia or Ukraine, I think, really step up and show their best play. I think it's doable. I mean, I do think a team like Ukraine or Georgia can beat them, but those players just have to have a really good day.
Yeah, sometimes it happens. I always want to remind, I mean, not many of our viewers might know, but me with my team of Bundesliga, we have won second championship, second season in a row, and by rating, we're like we're navigating between rated number 3 or number 4 from the standings, and yet we keep winning this whole league. So sometimes it's not only by your rating and by your force, but also by simply sometimes it's the luck, but it's also like how are these particular players feeling, and what is their form or in that current day of the match.
I feel like Georgia is somehow just looking more convincing than Ukraine so far. I mean, okay, they have more points, so that that's an indication of that. But somehow, yeah, Ukraine is underperforming a little bit. They just need to kind of step it up. Let's see what else we have left. So we see Russia's gonna win. Perhaps we go back to Pool B, take a look at what's going on. Well, we actually just kind of went through those games, didn't we? How about Corey Daisy versus Elizabeth Patz? Maybe they're still playing?
Corey Daisy versus Elizabeth Patz is definitely still playing because there is a lot of moves having happened in this game. We're gonna go jump into the Oceania versus. Oh, this is actually
Wait,
still playing.
Ushenina is losing.
Oh, what? No, what? No way.
Yeah.
Oh
No.
boy. Wait, we had
Oh
a
wait, it's
breakdown
gonna
of...
be. Oh yeah, it's completely losing. Yeah.
Wow, wait. We saw the breakdown of this game with those rooks. Was it that? Yeah. Look what happened. There must have been some auto, as we say. Oh no, this was the position that we saw. What happened
Lost
here?
some material. And Marisa Bog just finished. I don't know if she looks happy or sad. It's kind of hard to tell.
Wow, look at this.
Yeah,
I
she
have to show
blundered.
you.
She blundered a piece. Yeah, she should have played King F2, I guess, right?
Wait, was it? It's not a blunder, is it?
It's a blunder because the knight, the rook on C2 is hanging.
Wow, amazing, amazing combination. Knight F5, double attack on the king and on the knight. And now when king goes to F2, there is knight E3 intermediate attacking the rook. And now after rook takes D2, you have knight takes C2. I know what's interesting is that rook to E3 was put in this trap.
Yeah, I mean, she could have just played King F2, right? There was no real problem.
Either king F2 or guess what? Rook C2 to C3.
Or even King, I mean, yeah, King F4, there was Rook D4, but even that was possible.
Yeah, well played by Kazakhstan player. Well done. Beating a world X champion. That is a nice achievement.
Yeah, and what is going on in Buksa Doletsova again? Because I mean, is Ukraine actually winning this match? Because I forgot what's happening on their board. That's gonna tell us.
Yeah, Buksa won, so that's a point for Ukraine.
Okay, so Ukraine is gonna marginally win this match with victories by Natalia Buksa and Anna Muzichuk.
Although that only makes 2.5.
Yeah, just marginally.
Correct.
You know, and Elizabeth Patz, you said she's still playing, right?
Yeah, but unfortunately, the position on the board is so exciting that I'm struggling to give any comment to this one.
Really? Well, show it to us. What was it? What is it?
You can see that on the screen.
So. Oh, that's the position. There's no no moves. Okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna go and jump to some other games, but still seems like we have the results everywhere. Yeah, that's about it.
You think all the games are done?
I actually think so. Let us take a look. Oh, wow. Well, our hero from the round 4, Andrea Navratilova, is still playing. And now this is once again having an advantage. Wow.
Yeah, she's better again. She's up a pawn, but I don't think she can really count on a win in this game. Looks pretty drawish to me.
You know what? It's yet one more achievement for Andrea, because once again she is facing a way more, let's say, a higher rated opponent, and yet there she goes, putting so much pressure on every single opponent that she has, and that's pretty impressive. Yeah. We actually have the result, I believe.
Maybe White's going to just play bishop d4 and they're going to agree to a draw.
Yeah, they agreed to a draw. So we have all the results so far.
All the results. Okay, great. So we're going to go on a short break and we're going to come back to wrap up the day's rounds and talk about what happened and what we can expect tomorrow. Well, look at this.
are back with the results of the round 4 of FIDE World Women's Team Chess Championship, and we have them. So Ukraine managed to beat Kazakhstan, while Armenia dominated Spain, and Chess Federation of Russia won against India. And the biggest sensation, I believe, in this round was in the match of France versus Azerbaijan. And guess what? Guess what? France won against Azerbaijan with 3.5 to half a point. Such a big result, such a dominating score. I am truly surprised.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really big result for France because they've actually caught up to Azerbaijan in match points by beating them. Now, there is really a big fight going on for that last qualifying spot to the playoffs in Division A between France, Azerbaijan, and Spain. They all have 2 points right now. France has the better tiebreak, so I mean by 2 points. I think that puts them in a pretty advantageous position to try to qualify. And there's only one more round left tomorrow, actually, before we see who's qualifying to the playoffs. We can just see who is in a favorable position to qualify: France, Azerbaijan, or Spain. Well, in round 5, Azerbaijan is playing Spain. Well, that is going to matter a lot, and I think that's good for both teams. That's actually really good for both teams because they decide their own fate between them. And France is playing India. So that's, that I think actually, in a way, France with the better tie breaks has the harder pairing. And that might actually open up the way for Azerbaijan or Spain to get that 4th spot just by virtue of having to face each other. So right now, I feel like, yeah, I would put my money probably on Azerbaijan or Spain qualifying. But Dina, I have to say today, I said something like, I think Poland is going to have a comeback. And now I realize how foolish that it sounds because, there's only 5 rounds in this preliminary stage. I think, in my mind, I thought it was like 9-round tournaments. And even after they lose a few games, this team is going to come back. Of course, that is ridiculous with only 5 rounds left to play. If you lose your first 3 games, no, you're not going to qualify most likely. So I do think Poland in is it Group B? Yeah, Group B. I mean, right now they're in last place. I suppose there is an outside chance. I mean, because it's very funny. They're in last place and they still have more game points than the teams ahead of them, right? So I think it's going to depend on the pairings for the last round. Will Poland be able to catch up to, and it's doable, either FIDE Americas or Germany? So let's see what the pairings are going to be like for the last round tomorrow. We got Kazakhstan, Poland. Yeah, I mean, it's doable. It's not the worst pairing. They could be playing Ukraine, I think, or Georgia. Germany playing Ukraine and Georgia FIDE Americas. Actually, look at this. You know what, Dina? I'm still going to stick with my prediction.
Yeah, I actually see your point.
Yeah.
Meaning Poland already made a draw just now versus Georgia, and tomorrow they are facing Kazakhstan. So Kazakhstan is slightly weaker team, let's say by their boards 3 and board 4. That means Poland could either beat them or make a draw. But even in the case of draw, considering the fact that Germany would potentially lose to Ukraine and FIDE Americas would have a chance to, against Georgia, it could actually mean that even with a draw, Poland could still have a chance to qualify well. That's gonna be very exciting to see how that match is gonna take place tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that, Georgia has already guaranteed themselves a spot in the top 4, of course, and Ukraine and Kazakhstan have also pretty much guaranteed themselves. So they might not feel a whole lot of pressure, which is the only thing that's kind of bad for Poland, right? Like, how much do Georgia and Ukraine really want to win? tomorrow. But I have a feeling like they're still going to try to win. They're still going to play to win. And that opens up the door to Poland. Yeah, even with such an unfavorable looking position, losing their first three matches, um, they really do have have a chance here.
Absolutely. And speaking about Pool A, we already see that Russia has guaranteed herself a spot. In fact, Russia already won the whole poll because they have 8 points and all other teams have only 5 and less. So that is a very big achievement for Russia. I mean, achievement and nothing for now because the tournament hasn't finished, but still, there we go. This is it. Russia is winning the poll A. We have Armenia and India, who, by the way, also guaranteed the seventh place, both with 5 points. And now the fight is, as we said, between France, Azerbaijan, and Spain. And that's about it. But now, before we wrap up the show, let us take a look at the schedule that we have for the upcoming days.
So tomorrow, Wednesday, we have just one round, guys.
Yeah, that is going to be a very short day at the office.
Yes, just one morning round, at least morning in the USA, afternoon in Europe. And after that, we're going to know who is qualifying to the playoffs. So the real excitement is obviously who is going to be team number 4. I mean, that's really the only thing up in the air. We already understand who has qualified, in terms of the top teams, Russia and Ukraine and Georgia, all of those teams are in, Armenia and Kazakhstan. But there is going to be intrigue in terms of who's going to get those 4 spots. And then the next 3 days, we are going to have the quarterfinals and semifinals and finals with each team playing, 2 games against each other.
Yes, that is going to be a lot of amazing games, very interesting fights, since we have one of the strongest female chess players of nowadays facing each other. And that is also a very amazing thing to happen nowadays. Let's remind our viewers that this is the first official over the world team championship since the break that we had due to pandemic, and we're enjoying it so far, and we hope that so you do. As far as for now, we are going to say goodbye and let's meet tomorrow at the same time.